Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Danny, stop being difficult. Let's have a good show, okay?
This morning, that was funny. Don't be difficult this morning. This morning? Why is
Just
this morning special?
I don't know. This morning is special because I don't know. I say so. Anyway.
Sure.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I love doing this podcast with you. It's nice to be able to just every week get together and hang out and talk shop.
Did you just say that to yourself so that you can reframe your mindset and think, okay, I know this guy's a jerk, but
That's not true.
I do
at
love
all.
him. It's like a brother thing. It's like, you need to shut up, but
No,
I love you.
No, I wish I had a teleportation device where it would just, send me up to Stevens Point and we could just do this thing in person. But, unfortunately, that's not, I guess, very high on the list of things that need to be done for technology.
It's probably up there, but we just don't have the people to do it. It's like
That's
scientists, and then geeks. And geeks are like, hey, can we do this thing? And scientists are like, no, come on, let's do this thing. We can't. Someday, though.
Well, we
Someday.
can, but there's a lot of legal jargon that gets put into it, and no one wants to see, what happened to Mike TV. So,
Right. Sometimes there's just a popping sound and a scream, and that's it. They're gone forever.
Exactly.
Pulled into the ether.
And you end up in your mom's purse.
Oh, yeah. Nice reference.
I figure I'll pull that one out there.
Yeah.
Man, but anyway, we're coming into February, and it's crazy that January just flew by so quickly. I think that for a lot of us, maybe we'd want to forget for January in some ways with just the weather the way it's been, but who knows?
I don't know. January dragged for me. I'm ready to get out of it. It's the worst month of my year, and I'm just like, okay, finally, let's get to February and just get this year started, and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think even too, I didn't participate in dry January, but I think if I had, I would be regretting that decision after the way the weather was, because that would have drove me to drink.
well, so what do you do? I mean, this is again why Wisconsin, I feel, has one of the highest number and the most alcoholic cities and counties in the nation.
They do it right.
Because right, it's like, what are you going to do for the next 3 months? Oh, well, I guess we'll just drink and have some cheese. Yeah, okay. I can't argue with that logic. So
it's that Scandinavian, is that kind of the mind frame?
Yeah.
But no,
Polish and German and
all those.
Yeah. It's so
we're coming into February, and I definitely want to talk about kind of what's going on with the org, because I know there are some things that are going to be showing up on social media as far as some things that are going on with the org. But before we did that, I kind of wanted to give a little shout out. We both got tagged last week, I think it was, or maybe it was Monday. I don't know. When was the 28th, whenever that was? I don't even know what day that was. We got tagged in a post through
You're going to talk about that guy, are you?
The group. Yeah, because I've actually never met him. And I love this. This is so great. But this is the kind of thing that makes me be like, yeah, this is why we do this podcast. But I believe his name is pronounced Kiernan. Am I right?
Excellent. Yes.
Yes,
I believe so.
I got it right. All right. So Kiernan was gracious enough that he wrote up this just little blurb about how he's been listening to the podcast and how he's been trying to catch up on all the episodes, and he finally caught up on all the episodes. And then he's, heard different people that we've talked to. And then he's gone on the Dad Lounge and has had interactions with some of those guys. And he's like, "Oh, I know you, I've heard you talk before." And I think that's awesome. And he calls it fanboying, but you know what? Like, I'm okay with that, honestly. I think that all of us dads in our own way are a bit of a, I'll call it like, have our little celebrity things depending on what we're doing. And it's okay, it's
Yeah.
fine. I think that just kind of brings everybody that much closer together because, there's guys that are like big into Lego and guys that are big into
Hmm.
D&D and like all these different things. And it's so neat to be able to actually hang out with them in person for an hour or two if you've got the time for the dad lounge. And so um, I just wanted to basically put on here since he's listening and he's now caught up and so he gets to hear it like live. Maybe he'll start sending us messages like Eric does, who knows. But I just wanted to thank him for his
Yeah.
listenership and too like just the diligence to like listen to as many episodes as we have and to catch
D-
up.
diligence is one word. Yeah. Yeah.
Addiction?
A
Oh,
little
crazy.
crazy,
Okay.
maybe. No, no. K Money, we love you. We do love you, man. We do. And we're glad you're listening and very happy, as Brock has already said, that you listen. And for me, like you said, Brock, it's kind of that a little bit of either return on investment or
Totally.
almost justification of this is why we do this. And we've met people in the past and it's happened quite a bit. And it's always interesting to see it happen and to experience someone coming up and going, "Oh, I know you."
Yeah.
And it's a neat feeling, and it's not a celebrity feeling, I think, for me, and I'm pretty sure it's not for you either, but it's more of a, oh, this is someone that I've done something that has helped them,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to have helped them, whatever it might be. And I love the podcast. A big part of it is because of getting to know the membership, getting to know, because this
Hmm.
is our podcast. This isn't, I mean, this is the National at Home Dad Network's podcast. This
Right.
isn't Brock and Danny's podcast. This isn't anything like that. This is for the organization. And it's specifically set up originally kind of for that interaction so that you can know, like we mentioned,
Yeah.
Eric Schoberg, Eric, I love you, man. And we talk about him all the time. And when we say it, people are like, wait, who?
Right.
Who is that guy? What is he doing? And it sparks interest in the other members in the organization. And that's really what I think for me, my focus out of our 5 pillars, community has always been my most important, my most loved, my passion,
Yeah.
my thrive is to see that community building and seeing people be, because we're unicorns in a lot of ways. We end up in a world that we're by ourselves completely, and the ability to just come online and say, or flip on a podcast and say, "Oh, I'm not alone. There are
Yeah.
other people doing this, struggling with this, forcing their way through this, loving this part, and just the joy that you get from having that
Yeah.
community." And I'm so happy for Kieran, for everybody, in fact, that listens to the show. That if anybody gets any community from it, I think
Hmm.
that's a win for us.
Community is definitely a huge part of the group and it expands outside of even like virtual the realm of things as well because you get guys who are like, "Hey, I'm traveling to this city and I know that these guys are here and
Hmm.
like, hey, like can you give me some tips on this place or like can we get together and hang out kind of deal and
Hmm.
I mean I know I've been able to do that and be able to uh even go to their houses and actually be like immersed into the family and meet their
Right.
kids and have a meal
Right.
and just spend the night there or whatever. And my wife's so funny, sometimes she's such an introvert, like she enjoys like the travel and everything, and sometimes she gets overwhelmed just by meeting new people like that. And but at the same time I'm like, one, like it saves money on lodging. Two, we
Hmm.
always
Yeah.
tell people if they ever come to Cincinnati and they need a place to stay, we have an extra room, so we're really no different in a way. It's like,
Yep.
because she's always been open to that, but when it goes to we're traveling, like sometimes she's a little like, I don't know about this, but it's it's always been fun. And I think that that's one of the really cool sides to it. I mean, even what was it, a couple weeks ago, there was a guy who came on the Dad Lounge and said, "Oh, I'm from Cincinnati." And immediately Arvis Arvis Breckin's like, "Wait a minute, do you know Brock?" And he kind of gave him a little spiel of who I was, and then I came on like a week later, just out of the blue, and he's like, "Oh, I I know you. You were Arvis was talking about you, and I thought he was talking about the fact that Arvis was like, "Oh yeah, Brock's on this podcast or something like that." But no, he's like, "No, I live over in Coleraine," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Yeah,
and so that week, actually, we had a dad's night out, and he came to it, and I got to meet him in person, which was really cool
cool.
too.
Oh,
So
very cool.
yeah. So just stuff like that, it's like all these little interweavings of things.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, I just wanted to point that out that, I'm just really excited that we have guys like that are listening to the show and then reaching out and talking about a little bit. I love the fact too at the end he says, "Well, now it's time to go listen to all the DadCon content while I wait on the more podcasts." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, that's exactly what you do. You
You
get
do. Absolutely. Go into the membership area and start listening, watching those videos and listening to them play. There's so much good information there.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
incredible.
Well, and so great segue there. So coming into February, membership is the focus for the
Hmm.
organization. And I haven't been privy to the conversations as much as you've been because you're on the board.
Hmm.
So I guess I'm going to kind of turn this into maybe just a little bit of an interview of you. So
Sure.
we're going to turn the spotlight. Okay, it's on you. And heat that bad boy up and start beating up on the forehead a little bit.
Take
So
out the rubber hose.
that's something, maybe a little
No.
bit.
Whack. I'm sorry.
But
I
no,
don't know. I forget stuff. Stop
forget
hitting me.
everything you know. Um, all right, guys, we're gonna get all the information. We're gonna squeeze it out of Danny. Here we go.
Like a tube of toothpaste.
So February is the kickoff of membership drive. And
Yes.
the org, I know for a couple of years we've talked about this. When I was on the board, we were like, all right, how do we do this thing?
Hmm.
And it looks like, from what I have seen through a few things, is that they've got all the ducks in a row and are ready to hit the switch and do this membership drive. And
Yep.
I am curious, what does that mean for guys who are not members and also for guys who are members? Like what's going to happen?
Well, the biggest thing that we found in membership is, this is my opinion. The board may not, all of us may not agree with this. They definitely might say this out loud, but we don't charge enough for membership.
I would
Period.
agree
All
with
right.
that. It's a heck
And
of a
I think
deal.
anybody that's been in the organization, especially if you've been on the board or just in our volunteer sector, you recognize the amount of work that everybody puts into it. And that's its own thing, but we're not doing it to get paid. We don't get any money for it, but the cost of just existing. As an example, a great example, we recently, and we're still, I think, in negotiation for one of them, have opened up our own Zoom account. This has been the last 6 months. So the organization did not have a pro Zoom account. Now, if you think about it, people, well, do you need a pro Zoom? We absolutely do. It's way too useful. One, we do the podcast on it. Also, the Dad Lounge twice a week. Also, it was any board meetings we were doing, any committee meetings that we were doing. And we did meetings every week of some kind or another. And you had to have a pro account. And a
Yep.
pro account just means it's an unlimited time frame.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not a big deal. We could do that, but that's still about $150, $160 a year. And when you're a nonprofit, $1 a year is still something you've got to look at, and you've got to think, well, whoa, what are we going on? So now there are benefits to being a nonprofit, being that we do get a discount on
Yes.
our Zoom account, and that's what we're kind of negotiating with them now, because we really need two accounts if when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
because we have too many overlapping things that we want to offer. Now, some of our stuff has been up to this point has been provided by the membership. In this case, for the Dad Lounge and for the podcast, you provided that membership, that pro account for us for the last year at least. For the weekly support groups that we have 2 support groups a week, and that's been provided by me. These are things that we just do because we do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm doing Dad's Gotta Talk for myself as much as I am for the men that join us, because I need a support group and obviously need some place to talk, right? But when we're looking at these expenses, Ed Levezzo brought it to my attention at one point. He said, "So you need that? You want to do this?" He goes, "Yeah, okay. All right, well, we could probably do that." And I said, "What was that in your head? What were you doing?" And he said, "I was counting memberships."
Yeah.
And I went, what do you mean? He said, well, if we, and let's use, $150, a nice round number for a Zoom account. That's not how much it is, but let's say $150. So how many memberships is that? And that's how he gauged it. Okay, so if we have $150 we've got to pay out, that's 5 memberships at $35. It'll cover that and a little bit more. So if we don't have 5 memberships, or if we don't add 5 memberships, then we're not really capable of getting that Zoom account without taking a loss.
Yeah.
And while we do have parts of our organization do a lot of fundraising, it's not for the organization's fees. It's for things like the Brian Dixon Scholarship Fund, which
Now
is
I
a
will say,
fantastic
now I will
fund.
say one of the things that is actually kind of cool that you can do as a fundraiser outside of that, which I did actually for my birthday, is through Facebook. They have the birthday,
Hmm.
to a nonprofit, which we can wholeheartedly participate in. And even just the littlest bits help. Like I had just 2 people that I know that donated a little bit to it. And, that's kind of nice too, because that's sort of like a surprise check to the org. Like
Yeah.
it just kind of
Like,
pops
wait,
into our
where'd that come
PayPal
from?
account. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
that's another thing outside of it just going into one of those earmarked
Hmm.
areas that people can consider. And you don't even have to be like a member to do that. Like if you're just like, I'm in the Facebook group or even Discord, and you're just like, this is just something like, hey, like I really want to support this. If you see that it's something that you would like to donate $5 to as a happy birthday to me, like great.
Hmm.
Like the org will appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Yep. Yep. And we've altered it a little bit this year. This is, again, we've talked about fundraising for several years in the board and what we're going to do and how we should do it. You and I have talked about kind of if you were
Telethon.
the old Jerry Lewis telethon. Yeah.
Yeah, telethon.
Just and it's like, how would you do that? How would we put that together? I mean, what possibilities would we have to do anything? And I thought about, well, let's do a 24-hour broadcast. Just take time for breaks and go to the bathroom, what you need to do. But let's be on the air for 24 hours and take calls and get members to call in, or get members of the board, have guests call in and talk to us for 10 or 15 minutes, and kind of like NPR does it,
I think it
right?
would be so
Where they're
much fun
just
to
doing
do.
whoops. It would, but the
It takes a lot. It
logistics
takes a
for
lot.
pulling it
Yeah.
off, right, are just not there yet. So what we did this year is we decided to make a tiered system. You have still the standard $35 membership, and that is what it is. For an additional $15, so if you pay for the regular membership and then go up to 50, then you get a keychain,
Mm-hmm.
just as a little addition. Now, a keychain basically is our Dads Don't Babysit logo on almost like a little coin medallion, and then a key ring on it so you can put it on your keychain. So
Put it on
that's a
your diaper
thing.
bag.
Yeah. Right. The first thing I thought was, I'm going to put that on my backpack.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought too.
Just
I was like, this would be sweet. Like I can just throw this
right.
on my day pack that I take with me
Yes.
everywhere.
And it's metallic, so it's going to last longer, and it's hanging there, and it's something people are going to see and notice. It will jingle a little bit, it'll make a little bit of noise. So it's definitely, a little bit of an addition to your pack.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great idea, and I'm glad we implemented that one. The next tier up is $75, which would include your annual membership, but you'd also get a specific membership T-shirt, a 2024 membership drive T-shirt.
Well, it's a very it's different because it's a different design than the
Mhm.
Dads Don't Babysit shirt
Right.
with a larger like I don't know what you call it, like focus in on the no sign basically, or
Mhm.
like that kind of deal, which I love the fact that that's the idea, like because that's
Mhm.
what draws people in anyway. So why
Right.
not just focus on that part of it?
I don't know what you call the circle with a slash through it. Basically the no, like you said, the no sign, but whatever that is, yeah, I think it really sets it off. And that shirt specifically says, "No, I'm not a babysitter. This is not babysitting." And that, of course, is our trademark. And I love that phrase, and I hope we continue that. But just to have that, "I am a parent," in
Yeah.
big bold letters on the front of it. And we'll be putting these graphics out soon, so everyone watch the Facebook page, and probably on Discord as well, on our website, Instagram, all of our social medias, so you can see a picture of this shirt.
And I
Um,
believe and I believe that no symbol is actually what basically helped us to get our trademark for that slogan.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, like that was like the catalyst for it because it's different than just typing out "dads don't babysit" on a shirt with just actual
Yeah.
font. It's got that symbol in it, and
Hmm.
that's kind of where the trademark, because that's what allows us to actually send out cease and assist letters to people that try to like
Right.
profit off of our design that
Hmm.
actually Chris Routley created years ago.
Hmm.
So that's so
Chris
I
Routley, former president, just so everyone knows, great guy.
yeah, very very creative,
Hmm. Wrote
very
a book.
artistic. Yeah. Oh, love
What is
the
it?
book.
Sometimes you need a jellyfish. Is that what it was called?
I something like that. My
Sometimes.
kids have it. I can't remember exactly. They love that. They love that book. I'm still waiting on the second one to come out. Sometimes you need a giraffe. Uh,
All right. I don't know about that one.
That's well, if you read through the book at the end, it says something about like that book being the next one.
Cool. 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 So,
Yeah.
but going up, like I said, that's the $75 level. We do also are we're going to be very focused on a Home Dad Con ticket as
Yeah.
part of your membership. And that's the price currently is $265. Now that's to go to the convention. You get to be in all the convention events, convention eve. You get your meals that convention eve, or I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday, and then convention eve. I think we get a meal ticket and
Which
possibly
that which
tickets.
that tier
So,
actually kind of goes back to the old school way of
mhm.
how you got your membership, which I think for those of us that have been around for a while, like that's the traditional way was you bought your home dad con ticket, which also had your membership into it. And so that's a great way to just be like, hey, if you're coming to home dad con, you might as well just, do this. It's all bundled into one and you're good to go. And for people who are like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna come or not, like then you got the other tiers to work with. So that's
Mhm.
cool. I love the design. Like that's the other part. When that one gets posted, you get to see the logo design for Home Dad Con St. Louis, which is
Mhm.
phenomenal. Like
Yeah, I love it.
as someone who is a an avid soccer fan, like
Mhm.
that patch like logo is fire.
Yep.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
And I'm hoping that we do that as a patch somehow. Maybe
Yeah.
not one of the PVC patches, but maybe just like a cloth
Stitch.
patch you can put
Yeah.
on. Yeah, to stitch it on. And this year's current idea, again, things can still change, but for that jersey, basically a soccer jersey that we're getting for the St. Louis,
That would
it
be
is just
bomb.
a really cool shirt. It really is. I mean, you look at it and go, yeah, that's obviously a soccer shirt.
Yeah.
But as usual, JHG, Jonathan Heisegrove, doing our graphics, even though he has stepped off of the board, is still doing some amazing work. And he came up with that original design. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to push for is I want to get that as a pin.
Oh yeah.
I
There
want to
you
get it
go.
as an enamel pin for just this year, and
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna get like 100 made, maybe. Not gonna do a bunch of them. There's gonna be a limited edition, and that's it. And hopefully not ever offer it again. Let's see. But I
Those pins are
really
so
think
collectible.
that's it too. I want a pin for every year. I want
Yeah.
a pin for every convention that I've been to, and I want to have it on my lanyard. I want to walk out just blinging, just like, whoa, that is a lot of flair, Danny. Yes, yes, it is, but because it's a collectible, there's
Yeah.
a community feel to that. And I love this one because I'm like, this would make a perfect pin. And we'll see how that works out. I'm still working on the logistics and honestly the cost. We're going to see
Yeah.
what we
That's
can
the
do to
biggest part
to
of it
get
is the
to get
cost.
a good pin that isn't extremely expensive, especially when we only want about 100 of them. So, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then so the last of the tiers, and this is the one that's more of just like the always open and available tier, is the lifetime membership
Hmm.
tier, which uh, that tier, it's $500. It's you get an exclusive Dads Don't Babysit challenge coin, which has also on the opposite side our logo. And that coin is awesome. I mean, for anybody who knows challenge coins, if you're former military or if you're just somebody who likes cool, like kind of a heavyweight sort of thing, like that coin is legit. And
Hmm.
and it's a coin too that aside from being a lifetime member that former board members, if they do their full 3 years, also receive as well. And so that was how I got mine.
Yeah.
But also too, like y'all came up with a great certificate for people to be able to frame if they want to. That's just a really nice card stock that says that you're a lifetime member of the National At Home Dad Network. And it's one of those things where it's like maybe you don't get to hang up a whole lot of things in your house or something like
Right.
that, but like this is one of those things where it's like I'm proud of this. Like I want people to know this. Like this is sort of my legacy in a way of fatherhood, is that I, have been a part of this organization
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So that
And you're
one,
still a part of this organization
yeah.
for as long as you want to be, basically, because you're
Oh
a
yeah,
lifetime
definitely.
member. So it's also a commitment. And I love that people are willingly making that commitment to the organization. And we have a lot of lifetime members. I mean, I think 2 years ago we only had 3 years ago, maybe we only had one.
Yeah.
And then now we have over 20. And it's just a slowly growing, almost exponential thing where people are looking at it, going, I really want to commit something to this organization. They've given me a lot in whatever way that might be, and I want to give back.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious. So if you're somebody who has done like a reoccurring, like, you're $35 and you're reoccurring type of deal, and that's all set up. How do these other tiers like the 50 and the 75, how do those play into, like, do you have to go back in and like add up the
Mm-hmm.
extra to get that? Is that, and then does your reoccurring still for the 35 just stay until you guys, I guess, decide to up it at any time or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll add in the extra. And then, as far as I remember, you'll add in the extra. So you'd add another 15 to your regular 35 membership. And then the next year it would go back to 35 if you have a recurring. Your recurring amount doesn't change unless you set it to change.
That's
So,
cool. I
but
like that. I love the fact that there's a reoccurring amount too, because there is
Mhm.
sort of almost a set it and forget it type situation with that, which
Yeah.
is for those, for all of us who have 1,000 things going on. That's one less thing I've got to deal with, and it's a membership that I don't, unlike like, oh, I want to cancel my Hulu or Netflix account type of deal, because that
Mhm.
thing. This is actually something where it's like I don't have to really worry about it. Like it's taken care of.
Mhm.
So, that's awesome,
I'm
man. It sounds like,
currently $35 a year. I
yeah,
want to make it clear I'm pushing it for 50. I don't know if that's going to
I,
happen. The board does
that
not
is not an
really want to charge more
unreasonable price at all.
for an
You
annual
went with the
membership. It's
50.
really not. Yeah, I mean it really is. And I think that the value that we offer and the value that we continue to offer every year, because I can't wait for everyone to meet and hear the speakers we have this year. Our keynotes are working out really well. We have some very, very professional, informative, and focused speakers who are going to speak to issues that we run into on a daily basis and help us be a better parent. That alone, that amount of work is worth to me a little bit more for your membership, because we take all of those, as everyone listening hopefully knows, and record them and
Hmm.
put them into our members only area. And you can go back at any time and reference them. And I can't tell you how many times I've watched Catherine Perlman's original from Orlando just to go back in and pick up some of the slides and pick up some of the information that just, or maybe it was her recent one, but anyway, one of them, and just pick up some of the information that just, oh, what was that? Was it this or is that?
Right.
Also, because they offer us their slide decks almost every time.
Yeah.
That's information you can go back and find their websites or the websites that they mention, the books that they mention, things of that nature. It's really, really useful resource that I think all parents could benefit from.
Well, and
And
two, if you,
honestly,
as soon as
mhm.
you get the membership, like you pay for this membership, like it's immediate, like you're in, and like you were talking about, with Kieran, is that um you get the ability to go in and watch and listen to the former presentations, like from
Mhm.
the years past. And there's, stuff I think as far back as Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was when we kind of started to really put things together and get it into a YouTube type of setup. And that's the other really nice thing. I mean, honestly, like, to be able to go back and listen to these other presenters that you probably hear us or other guys in like the dad lounge and stuff talk about,
Mhm.
But then you get to experience it as well, and all you had to pay was $35 to be able to hear those. Honestly,
Right.
is one heck of a steal
Mhm.
to for that kind of resource.
Yep. It's not as good as live, but it's still pretty good. It's
It's
still
not,
pretty
but
good.
it is, you definitely, but the knowledge and that kind of
Mhm.
thing is there. So that's for sure. Like you said, you guys have been working on getting all this lined up with speakers and stuff, and every year is always a great lineup of speakers, and which
Mhm.
also makes everybody have to like pick and choose who they want to listen to. And so the fact that you can be like, all right, like I really want to hear this one, but I'm okay with missing out on those other ones so that I can, go back later and listen to it, is just
Right.
an awesome thing. That's the thing with this, the way it's set up, and I appreciate it so much more, is that I used to go to Dad 2.0 Summit, and they would
Mhm.
have all of the same things, speakers and things like that. And you picked what you went to, and that was it. Like you did not get to hear anything else, which was so frustrating because you would miss out on other things. And two, the other thing was is that their whole intent was actually to put things in a place where you could do it, but they did not have the manpower to make it happen. And that's the other
Mhm.
part of it, is that, we have this great group of volunteers who take the time to, like Keith, for instance, Keith, and I forget who, like there were a couple guys recently. I know I'd done some things with it too. Me and Keith and maybe Joshua. But basically like taking the slide decks, getting them situated. Matt Strain was a part of that too, I believe. And getting everything set up to where it could be put on YouTube and having it. And so just the coordination of multiple guys working together to make that happen is essential.
Mhm. And I just want to say we have a goal of 200 members for this year, 200 paid members for this year. And I think that's easily achievable. I think we
Yeah.
could do that and just get some people. We're about 95 if I remember at the moment. And so we're a good way there, but we want to get enough to where that we know we can handle anything that comes up in this year, such as an example, since we're talking about the convention and that's probably our biggest expense. um, we need a soundboard. We just need a soundboard. That's all there
Yeah.
is to
We
it.
need
We
an
do
upgrade.
so much work there that it needs to be something that's newer, that's got the connections that we need. And I'm going to credit Joshua Burnson for one being our chief operating officer of audio visual. I'm going to give him whatever title I can to kind of encourage him to keep stay and never leave us. But all the work that he did at the convention in Milwaukee, but also on top of that, he gave us a list of all the things that he thought, this would be better if we had this or that. Simple things like zip ties. If I could just have a pack of zip ties to kind of put all this stuff together, and I'm like, yeah, of course. Why would we not? I mean, for all the wires and stuff, we got to have zip ties, but we didn't. And
No.
it's like, I don't do AV, so I don't know what's missing, right? You don't want me in there doing that stuff. But looking at those little expenses, now you think, oh, a pack of wire ties, or maybe two, that's no big deal. And it's not a big deal. But again, we're down to every penny when
Yeah.
it comes to it because we're a nonprofit. We're not, no money's coming in usually. We have to find a way to do that. And membership is going to be the easiest and the most effective. Also, it allows us to bring each person, and I'm talking to each one of our listeners right now, into the community, into
Yeah.
the fold. You're now a part of our organization in a way that you never were before. Membership is not expensive. It is very, very helpful for us, and we're very grateful for every member, whether it's a $35 member that just does it once, or if it's someone that just sends us $50 in the mail, or our lifetime members who probably pay out the most. Every single person that helps us, we're grateful for because truly we are nickel and diming our way through to our next convention.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
want to
definitely.
encourage everybody. We only need 200 members, guys. We can do that.
I think that that's a very easily attainable number, honestly, just with the guys that we have. I mean, in all honesty, with the amount of people that even just come to Home Dad Con alone, you're halfway,
Mhm.
if not more than halfway there.
Yep.
And so I think too, like there's a slide on here that says that it only takes 95 of us to get there. So we're already
Mhm.
that much further ahead. So
Good.
95,
105.
yeah, 95 guys,
Yes.
and yeah, you're there, and I think we'll go past that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that'll be like we'll get way further across from that. So,
I
but no,
want to
like,
say one thing
mhm,
before we move too much further, because I
yeah,
think it's very important we remember this part. To all of our listeners, if you're not a member, or if you're not even able to be a member, even at the $35 level, we love you. We
oh yeah,
want you in our community. Join our Discord. Come to the Dad Lounge. Come to the support groups if you're in that. Come to the RPG night. We had a great time last night. We're moving forward trying to get our mobile game night going. These things are places where you can come and be a part of our organization. There's no cost. We're not trying to get money out of you, in any of those areas. You may, if you see me, I'm like, hey, are you a member? No, I won't. No, I'm just kidding. But we love you and we're grateful you're here and grateful you listen and grateful you're a part of our community.
yeah,
There is
yeah.
a deeper level if you're able to become a paid member, sure. But realistically, we really appreciate you and want you to feel like you're a part of the community just as much again as even the lifetime members who paid the most.
Yeah. Well,
You're
and that's the thing,
welcome
like
here.
it's that NPR sort of thing. Like, you can listen to NPR and never give, and they're
Yeah.
totally fine with that. Like they want you just as much as they want, a membership person, because
Hmm.
it's part of a community of sorts. And so, but it's one of those things too where it's like, all right, like I want to invest in this. Like that's the
Yeah.
portion of it. So I
Yeah.
I love the fact that, we have both of those avenues. So it's cool. Um, I was gonna say too that with all of the membership coming into play and things like that, and you were talking about Home Dad Con and stuff, like with the soundboards, like that's the biggest thing, like equipment, like having like the equipment that we get and then it travels from place to place and things like that. Like the soundboard would be definitely a huge thing. I know for the past, I don't think ever since we were up, ever since um yeah, ever since Milwaukee, I've been looking at cameras, trying to
Hmm.
find something that, will work to plug into, computers, having the ability for recording that's not going to like cause issues, and just something better than a GoPro, like
Yep.
actual cameras that we can do stuff with. And so that's not cheap either. And so
No.
that's another level of things to consider as well. Luckily we've got good microphones. We had to
Hmm.
upgrade that. Like, Frank Kuiper did his due diligence back when he was on the board to find us what we needed, because sometimes things change with signal regulations and stuff.
Right.
So having that is huge. And those are the keys. Like, if you're wanting to record things and have good sound and that kind of stuff, like that's what we have to find. So
And
um
it's got to be quality.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of cheap stuff out there, that inexpensive stuff that is cheap and it's
You get what you
not
pay
going to
for.
do the job. Exactly. Exactly. And for an organization like ours, our recording quality needs to be tip top,
Yeah,
because that's one of the things that we offer as a reason to become a member, is the ability to go back and watch these videos. And you don't want to go back and watch a video that's very echoey, or it doesn't have a good directional sound, or it's really grainy and pops a lot on the video or anything like that. You
right.
want quality, and we want to offer that. So like you said, that means looking at a more expensive camera. So
Definitely.
I've also been looking. So it's one of those things I looked at, I'm like, do I want to use my birthday to buy a camera for the organization? And the answer was given to me directly because it was too much money and I wasn't going to spend that much money on my birthday. So it wasn't in the budget either way. I'm like, oh, well, no, I can't. I
They're
can't.
not
But
cheap, man. They are
no, they're
not
not.
cheap. So, but
But looking
that's
at,
all good.
even my DSLR with a shotgun mic and just on a stand, and just to give us an additional, angle basically on stuff, we could do something like that and maybe it would help. But it's not going to give you the quality that we want to offer. And
Yeah, not
that's
when
one of the
you
things that we're looking at.
Yeah, not when you want to have that raw audio that plugs directly into, the soundboard
Right.
and
Yes.
comes through. Like that's a whole nother level of things. But it's great to see that the org is, moving towards that, and we'll attain it. It'll happen. It's just the diligence to get
Hmm.
there. So,
Yep.
um, Yeah, so membership drive is all, basically being pushed this month of February. And also too, along with that, I mean, Home Dad Con is counting down the days. Like,
Hmm.
we're in the months, of course, right now, but still, like I heard whisperings of conversations about hotels, the hotel block and where that's going to. And just a lot of people
Yeah.
have jumped on getting hotel rooms now, which
Hmm.
I think is a good idea because it does not cost any to do it. Don't do it with there's a specific kind of, I think it's just a like straight up debit card. Like if you have money on like Venmo, like a Venmo card or something, don't use that. You want to use an actual bank card to hold it, because the others will just pull the money directly out immediately. Like it's not actually going to hold it. So
Yeah.
don't. I've fell into that one time actually, when I went to a hotel and I gave them my Venmo card and I saw like $500 immediately. I'm snatching
Oof.
off of my thing and I was like, whoa, because I was
Put
like,
that back.
well, and it was like this was supposed to be split between me and my roommate. So yeah, make sure you're putting it on a card, like a credit card or something, and you can always change it at the hotel too. But that'll at least hold it. And I know that the room block had filled up, and they actually had to go and kind of get like an expansion on it. So that's exciting too. But then start working on saving up the money that you need to be able to buy your ticket, and maybe just do the 265 and knock it out and get it all in
Hmm.
one shot. And that's an easy way to do it, because I mean, regardless, like that's what you're gonna pay for. So you can kind of think about it that way. Like once you reserve your room, like the next thing is going to be to actually pay 265 for your membership and for your ticket. So however you want to make that happen is at your discretion. But I know there is going to be a cutoff date for tickets too later on, because we have to get all the numbers together to be able to print up t-shirts and programs and lanyards and all of those things. So
Hmm.
definitely don't just sit there in the back and wait too long, because because it just, you could run out of time and just forget about it.
Yep. Bingo.
So, but no, I'm excited for it. It's going to be good. I think the last couple episodes I mentioned that I said something about flying out. That's not what I'm doing actually. I'm driving out there. That's what you said you were going to be doing as well. It's always a fun road trip. I might even be picking up a guy or two along the way, because there's guys in Indianapolis that, like, I picked up a guy last year in Indianapolis and drove up, and that was a lot of fun. So that's kind of the joy of road tripping. Like
Hmm.
I've seen that multiple times over the years.
Oh
Like
yeah.
guys love to
Yeah.
road trip, just pick somebody up. It's like, oh sweet, now I get like all this time with this guy
Yes.
and hang
I
out.
drove down to Orlando with Rob Bowles, and I picked him up. He came to my house in, at near Athens, Georgia, and we drove all the way down there, and it was fantastic. All the way back, it was amazing. It was such a good trip. And like you said, there's something about a road trip.
Yeah.
You're just there, you get, and it was really cool too, because our music kind of matched up, our conversation kind of matched up. We kind of, we all kind of hit where it is. But on other road trips, I've had it where, like, I've never heard of this song that you want to play, but sure, let's go. Let me
Yeah.
hear it. And it was, I learned something, and I didn't necessarily love everyone, but you still like, oh yeah, that's good. That's an interesting song. You're a weirdo, but okay. But no, but you pick up so much about other members, especially if you've
Oh
never
yeah.
really met them before. Rob and I knew each other pretty well, but Keith Nagel, he and I went from his house to Chicago, I think, to fly out, and then back at ungodly time in the afternoon, or in the evening. I can't even remember. It was so late, but it was so good to talk to him and
Yeah,
learn things about him. And this was, he was vice president at the time, but he was somebody that I knew and that I'd met and hung out with at the retreat, and it was just amazing. So
definitely.
yeah, if you
I
can
did the
drive
same.
in, grab some people.
I did the same thing with Pat Jacobs actually when we went
Cool,
to
cool.
Minneapolis. I was like, oh, like, it's like 5 hours up to you and then another 5 hours up to Minneapolis. Like, I'll just come up to your house, stay the night. We'll leave in the morning and go. And he,
Nice.
like, I'd known him for a while, but I hadn't actually spent time to like really get to know him on that level. And, you know, I love being a person that says like, tell me what music you like to listen to, and and that kind of deal. And he introduced me to a bunch of different things that I hadn't actually listened to before, but were
Hmm.
right in my wheelhouse of things. I was like, oh, like
Nice.
this is this is going to add to my playlist of things that I can enjoy. So
I miss Pat. Such a good man.
yeah, that's the thing too. Like members come and go, and different avenues of life and that kind of thing. So it's all part of it's all part of the growth and the give and take of the group. So
Yep.
well, I'm going to be working on actually putting together a like quote unquote commercial that'll go in between things for the podcast. I think Joshua Bernstein's working on some reels and stuff so that we'll be able to have this out, which also too means that our listeners, when they see that stuff on social media, help us by sharing it. There's lots of stay-at-home dads that maybe you don't know, are looking, or they don't even know about it. And this is opportunity to just share it out to everybody and give them an opportunity to find something that they didn't know was out there, but they've been desperately looking for. And that's probably one of the biggest things I hear all the time. Oh, I didn't know that existed. And the only way people are going to know that it exists is if you're doing just that little bit to just share the content that's being posted out by the organization on a regular basis.
Right.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for listening. We look forward to talking to you again in a week. And until then, y'all have a great one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.